Welcome everyone to our very first Tech Talk of 2024. We are so excited to be back together with our amazing EMSE program managers. And today, Braden Green is going to be presenting CLMS version 2, Navigation and User Guide. So if you're new to Tech Talks, please say hello and what state you're representing today in the chat. We want to thank Jane Lowe for monitoring the chat for us today. And be sure to stick around until the end of the presentation to give your feedback on a quick poll about future Tech Talks. So just as a reminder, our monthly challenge for this month was to log into CLMS and to look at your EMS and hospital list. So we hope you've all had a chance to do that. If not, Braden is going to be taking the driver's seat here. So let's turn it over to you. Thanks, Braden.
Thanks, Jane. We have a lot to talk about, so we are going to jump straight in. All right. So first off, I guess we should mention what is CLMS. So CLMS is a secure online system that serves as a centralized repository for EMS and fire rescue, as well as hospital contact information. It is available 24/7 all year long, so you can access and update contact information as it comes to you. And during those times when it may be closed for improvements or anything like that, we'll obviously let you guys know. But it's more than just a centralized repository. It actually, it basically is the backbone that ties together the various systems that make data collection and data visualization possible. So like this graphic here shows it basically, it does do the list management stuff, but it also stores linkage data. It powers our 4 survey websites. It feeds and tracks activity for 4 surveys. And then all of that feeds data into a data mart, which in turn runs Tableau, basically fills that feeds data into Tableau for us. So CLMS is a very important piece of software that we have that kind of just, in addition to holding our contact lists, it really is the backbone of a lot of the data collection work that we do. So CLMS can be found at clms.nedarc.org, and Jane will put a link into the chat for that. And just as a side note, for those who are new, the EDC used to be called NEDARC. That's why it's clems.nedarc.org. And it's actually the same URL as before the update, for those of you that have been around for more than a year since we changed our name. And this here is the login page. So when you go to clems.nedarc.org, this is what you'll see. And so you can type in your username and password here. But first, I actually want to point out this reset password link. This is the easiest place to go if you need to reset your password for CLMS or Tableau. If you change the password for one, if you click this reset password button and go through the process, it will change your password for both of those sites, for both CLMS and Tableau. So they will always have the same password between the two of them. And resetting it here will reset it for all of them, for both of them. So this is the easiest place to reset that password, which has to be done every 90 days, regardless of whether you're using it or not. So when you get those emails that say, reset your password, this is the best place to come in and do it. It's just go clems.nedarc.org, reset password, follow those steps. But now we will go ahead and log in.
Braden, can you unmute?
Oh, have I been muted the whole time?
No.
Okay, I must have, when I hit spacebar or something, when I typed that in, it must have muted me. Sorry about that. So anyway, as I was saying, we recommend that you don't save the password there, just because it does have to be updated every 90 days, and it can, your browser can want to put in your old password, and it can cause your account to freeze out and stuff. So it's just best if you just type it in every time. That way you know that you've got it right. Okay, so this is the dashboard for the new CLMS, and I'll call it new CLMS. It's basically just version 5. It's just the updated one, but this is the most significant update that we've done yet. It actually was built from the ground up, so it's got some totally new features and stuff that we're going to go over. Navigation in this version of CLMS is done via this left-hand column. And I have this set up so that basically I have the manager level of access. So I should have the same level of access. You should be able to see the same things that I'm seeing. If not, you can reach out to your TA afterwards and we can look at your access level and make sure that it's correct. But you should see the same stuff that I'm seeing today. So this support menu, if you click on it, you'll see that it drops down and it shows us a couple of options. The confidentiality button links to the EDC webpage, specifically the page about our data confidentiality and data security practices and procedures. So if you're ever curious about, what we do with data and what's appropriate to do with this data and stuff, you can click there, and it'll kind of walk you through the steps that we take to keep this data safe and secure and confidential. And then if you have questions, always just reach out to your TA. Help and tutorials is a really useful button. So this actually links, if we click on it, see it opens up in another browser tab. This links to the Contact List Management System user guide. And this user guide has been fully updated to help you with this new version of CLMS. So it has instructions. Basically, it has a page on basically everything that you need to do in CLMS. The first several pages are all based on, and you navigate again by this left-hand column. You can read the name of the page, and if that sounds right, you click on it. There are a few that have the little caret, and if you click on that, it opens up a sub-page, but most of them are just the initial page that you're looking at. The first several of them are related to your account itself, like how to add someone, how to update your account if, say, you have a new email or you had a name change or something. How to remove an individual's account if somebody left the program, as well as information about how to log in, how to reset, how to print, pages of this user guide for offline use, things like that. The middle section of pages in the user guide basically will help walk you through how to navigate through CLMS, including using the new search feature that we're going to discuss. And then the final handful of pages are essentially how to add, edit, delete an agency or a hospital, as well as some more detailed information about the EMS and hospital lists, the various fields and what they all mean, things like that. So the point is, if you have questions, don't hesitate to click on this help and tutorials, find a page that makes sense for you. And really the pages are set up like the searching one. It's set up with step-by-step instructions. This one explains everything, what all the different fields mean, and then step-by-step instructions, 1, 2, 3, and it'll help walk you through how to do that. So that hopefully, we hope that that'll be a really good resource for you. Okay, moving on, this export state data button. Currently, it's not linked to anything, but when you go, what it does is it will link you into Tableau, where you can log in, and then it will take you to your state-specific data pages in Tableau. So it's just a link to Tableau where you can find your data. And then this Contact Us button it just gives you a link to the EDC website where you can find your EDC TA's information and contact us. All right, the meat of CLMS is within this EMS and this hospital menu. These two menus really are parallel, and they contain basically their respective contact list, a place to add or create a new agency or hospital, and then a link to Tableau again, where you can export your list. And this one is functional, basically. You'll come over here, you'll log into Tableau using that same thing. It looks like I already was logged in. And then it will provide you the list of agencies to download. And the hospital is the same. Basically, hospital list, create a hospital, and then a link to Tableau where you can export the data from CLMS. For this Tech Talk, we are going to be focusing just on the EMS list, but really everything is pretty parallel. So if you understand EMS list stuff, you'll understand how to work in the hospital list. So I'm going to click on the EMS agency list here, and we basically will get started. You can see I actually am using what's called a test state, so it's fake state with fake data, but yours will bring up the state that basically your state, and that's the only state that you'll be able to see. So the first thing that the first difference, I guess you may notice, is this big search bar across the top with various different fields. And this search is going to be the most effective way to navigate your agency or hospital list in CLMS. You still can use these arrows down at the bottom. In this case, I only have 5 fake things, but for yours that has hundreds of agencies, you're gonna be able to click through and see all the different pages. But really the fastest and most efficient way to navigate through it is gonna be to use this search bar. So we are going to spend just a minute covering that since it's a brand new feature. These search fields correlate, you'll notice, with the column headers right here. So portal ID and portal ID, and then the site is going to be your agency or your hospital name, the county, and the region. So the after putting in a search field up here, what you're going to need to do to get it to work is you'll click over here on the little search icon, and that will start the search. And then if you ever need to clear the search, or when you need to clear the search, you'll need to just click on this X button, and that will clear the search bar back to these defaults. And what we're looking at here is the default, basically blank with your state name and then active in the status. Whenever you're done with a search and you want to do a new one, we recommend coming up and just quickly clicking this clear search button to make sure that everything is cleared, and then you can start a search again. And if the search is ever not showing you something that you expected to see, you know, if you type something in and it's acting weird or something, it brings up stuff you didn't expect to see, click that clear search bar and then try the search again. And that should fix it. It's highly unlikely that, well, it's highly likely that that would fix it. So, and if you have trouble, you can reach out to us. But if it's ever doing something funky, click that X. It just means that it's got some search items saved up here that need to be cleared out. Even if you've erased them, the cookies on the browser may be saving it or something. You just click that search bar. It's not a huge issue. So that's why we recommend clearing the search when you're done with one, and then you won't end up having those types of issues. But if you do, that's the way to reset that search and kind of get things fixed. Okay, so the portal ID is an exact search. So what that means is it will only search for exactly what you put in. It will not, if you type a 1 in here and then hit search, it will not bring up anything because I don't have an agency with the portal ID of 1, right? It's not going to pull up all of the agencies with a 1 in their portal ID. If I need to pull up an agency, I have to type in the whole portal ID. And that's because the portal ID is a unique field. This is the only agency in all of CLMS that, regardless of state, that has the portal ID of 66919. So if I type that in there, it will bring up that agency after I click search. And then I can clear it out, and it will bring up my whole list again. The other 3 main fields, site name, county, and region, those will search on partial terms. So if I want to look up all of my agencies that have the word agency in them, I can type in the word agency, come over here and click search, and it will pull up just my agencies that have that word in them. So that is not an exact search, it will do partial searches. And then I can clear that, and if I want to find all of them that use the word fire, click search, it will bring up Test City Fire Department, which is my only agency that has fire in the name. Clear that out again before I do my next search. County and region work similarly, right? So you can type in the county name, and then the region. Region is a free text field, so you can see here one time that we put in a fake one, we put a 2, another time we put in region 2. So that's however you type that in, and you can. That's a partial search as well. So you could type in part of a region name, and it would bring up all of them that have that term within the region name. Okay. Also, instructions for using the search function can be found again on that user guide, and Jane will drop a link to the user guide page in chat for us. All right, so now we are going to jump over into the agencies themselves. I'm going to come into this, to select an agency, basically you're just going to go into your EMS agency list and then click on find and click on whatever agency you want. I'm just going to do this first, ABC agency, ABC ambulance service. And you'll see that this does look a little different. So the first thing you'll see is up here, there's this internal tracking section. That is just that portal ID. So the portal ID, like I mentioned, is basically, it's just so we can track an agency or hospital across all those various systems, Tableau and the surveys and everything. Even if that agency happens to share a name with another agency across the country or something, the portal ID is unique. It is uneditable, so you can't get in there and change it. You can't do any damage to the portal ID. So you don't need to worry too much about this field, except that it is a great way to identify a specific agency. The next section is the pre-hospital agency information, and this contains all of the information pertaining to the agency itself, like the agency name, the county it's in, its physical address, as well as a spot for mailing address. It's where you can type in the agency region. And then also there are a number of drop-down menus, like the performance measure type, what its highest certification level is, transporting status. We don't have time to go over each field and each item within each field and what those mean. But again, those can be found, detailed explanations for each item, each field basically, and what that field means can be found in that user guide. And Jane can drop some links into that, to those exact pages as well for both the agency fields and the hospital fields. And again, just keep in mind, you could always access that user guide by clicking on support and then clicking on help and tutorials, and then finding the page that you need. Moving down, this is where it changes a little bit. So the pre-hospital agency contact information section contains just that. So it's basically the contact person's contact information. But you'll notice we have both the contact information and a separate spot for PEC contact information. And this was a request made by many managers that they wanted to have a spot in CLMS to put their PEC information. And you can look at them one at a time. You just click on it, and it will open up those fields. And you can see, okay, that's the contact name, that's their title. This is similar to last time. We did add in a field for a phone extension, if they happen to have one of those, as well as a CC email and a BCC email. When you export your list, you'll be able to have like a CC email and stuff. We at the EDC will not be able to use the CC and BCC emails. Like if you select us for an EDC-led data collection, like for the upcoming PPRP, just note that we can only send an email to one person, so that person should be in the main contact field. But for your own use, if you're emailing out your agencies, one by one, you can store a CC person, like their boss or something, or even a BCC in there, so you have that available to you. And then the PEC information is the same, or very similar. It just is basically who the PEC is, what their title is, what their email, phone number, and then some comments. Keep in mind, so for example, like I said, if you selected the EDC-led option for the PPRP, this contact person up here is the person that the EDC will send emails to. And the second dropdown with the PEC information, the EDC will never contact this person. And these fields are, the PEC fields are strictly for your use. So it's important to note that because we will not contact the people in this PEC field for any reason, if you want the PEC to be the person who also receives the survey communications, an invitation or a reminder, the person in the PEC field should also match the person in the contact information field. If you want your PEC to be the contact, that person should be at least in the contact field, and then the PEC field is really optional. You can decide whether or not you want to fill that out anyways. It's for your use, but if you want the PEC to be the contact person as well, that person should be listed in both of these locations. And then again, if you had a different person, you could put in the CC email, so you have that for your records. And then in the hospital card, just so you're aware, the PEC contact information includes a spot for both the physician PEC and the nurse PEC. So you can have, both of their information in there. The last spot is also new, this respondent information provided section. And what this is they will show the contact information entered by the person that completed the most recent survey or assessment, respectively. So in this case, this field would show, this is obviously a fake field, so we don't actually have it, but this will show the information provided by that agency in the last EMS for Children survey. and it will provide, if you click here, it will show the contact information. You can see that it's blank, but it's in there, and then also the PEC information if they provided that. You will notice these are uneditable. That is because it just directly brings, they fed in are directly from the assessment, so they're not editable because this information is just whatever they put in. And then that's like for the EMSC survey, for example, for the PPRP, when that's in May, you'll see the person who completed the PPRP, the contact information will be fed into this spot. Again, uneditable. It just is brought in and you can see it and use it as you deem best. And then also the PEC information if they provide that. One thing to note, because this is uneditable and because it's, it just is fed right in. If you look at this and you say, actually, this is the new person that I need to be the main contact, you will have to manually copy that information out and paste it into the contact field up here if you want it to be editable, or if you want future communications to go to that person, right? And that's one of the main reasons we provide this. Go ahead, Jane.
I'm sorry, really quick question from Nicolina. For future EMSC surveys, will the PEC info populate into CLMS?
If they put it in to their survey, that's an optional field, the PEC info. So like in the PPRP that's coming up, there is a field that asks them if they have a PEC. Well, so they'll only see it if they say yes, that they have a PEC. And if they say yes, then it will, at the end of the survey, they'll get a question that says, please provide that PEC information. It's okay. Worded nicer than that, but if they choose to put that information in, it will automatically populate over here into CLMS after they submit that survey. It actually would be here in the PPRP section, but yeah, okay. That will. And so then you can basically take a look at it and say, okay, that's a new PEC for me. Let's copy that info out and put it up here into the agency PEC information that I can email in the future or whatever.
Braden.
All right.
Yep. Go ahead, Andrea.
Would you scroll down just a little bit and get to the EMSC respondent? So, yeah.
Sorry, close these up. You can direct me.
So, yes. So the last survey that was completed by an agency, if they had a PEC and provided PEC, it will be, and if it's for the EMS for Children survey, it will be in the EMSC respondent PEC contact. If it's the PPRP, it will be in the PEC, the PPRP respondent PEC. Those are not editable, but it will change each time that the survey is completed and that field or those fields are filled out by the respondent. Once again, like Braden said, is in both cases, they are optional, meaning they don't have to provide a name.
Right. Thanks, Andrea. That's a good point. So this could show a different person, the EMSC field versus the PPRP PEC, the EMSC PEC field versus the PPRP PEC field, because this just brings in what that person put in when they completed that survey or assessment. So in theory, it could be different if they put a different name in after the EMSC survey. It would be different than the person that they put in for the PPRP survey.
Okay, so Braden, we've got about 5 minutes left for you. Okay. And another question in the chat. Do the gap reports go to the main contact, carbon copy, and blind carbon copy?
Braden, are you okay if I answer this one?
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So we do not send the gap reports. How the system functions, and it functions the same for, well, it will for NPRP. We're still working on that one. But for PPRP, once a respondent has completed the assessment, a window pops open with their gap report. And that gap report, then it tells them to essentially save it to their desktop. So that's how they get their gap reports for the PPRP. Nothing is sent to them. It's a window that opens. It's their responsibility to print it, save it for themselves. Now, that doesn't always happen, or it gets lost, or they can't find where they saved it. So, sorry, I've been in and out with some emergencies. I don't know if Braden, did you cover the print button yet?
Not quite. Nope, okay. That's coming up.
Then I will leave that for you.
No, you're good. So basically the point here, the next step that I want to show is just to add, edit, and delete a contact. If you need to add a new agency, the easiest way is to just click this Create Agency button. All that will do is it will basically bring up the field we just looked at, or the form we just looked at, just with blank fields. The internal tracking, don't worry that it says 0. That will automatically create a new portal ID when you save it. But you'll just fill it out. You know, anything with an asterisk is required. Not everything is required. So, you know, you'll fill that out, you'll click Save Record, and then if there is an error, it will notify you. There'll be a little pop-up that says, you know, phone number only has 8 digits, and it has to have 10 digits. So if there's something weird going on, or if a required field is blank, it'll let you know that, and then you just click Save Record. And then you can click on the agency list again. It's the exact same for hospital, and you'll be able to see it in your list again. Editing a contact is literally as simple as you just go into the contact card, and then you'll go through it and edit that as, you know, these are all editable fields. If it says uneditable, like the portal ID and like these respondent information, you will not be able to edit it, but anything that's editable, it's up to you to basically make sure that that's correct and good to go. And then you can scroll to the bottom and click Save Record. And again, it will, if there's any errors, it will tell you what that error is. Lastly, to delete a record, you'll just enter into the contact card itself. You'll come here to delete record. It will pop up a dialog box that requires a reason for deletion. They're pretty self-explanatory. If you have like a duplicate agency, give us a call, or hospital. We just want to make sure that the correct agency is deleted. But let's say this agency closed. You can say yes, delete information, and you can see agency information has been saved successfully. That means that it's deleted, and down here at the bottom we can say that it's currently inactive. So if I go back to my list, we can see ABC ambulance service is no longer there. However, one new feature is I can actually see what agencies have been deleted in the past, and that's where this status bar is. So the default is always going to be my active agencies, but if I want to see did that agency get deleted, I can come here and just select deleted and then click that search bar. And now we can see, okay, ABC ambulance service was deleted. And you know, if you need to get that restored or something, you can call your EDCTA and we can work to restore that and get that put back in your active list for us. All right, let's clear that search. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to show, and we will be done here in just a minute, is this pre-hospital agency administration button at the top. So it's actually above all of the contact information. If I click on this, it provides us a little more information than we've had in the past. So what this does is the first two for an agency, and there's just one of them for a hospital because there's just the NPRP. So we have the Pre-Hospital Pediatric Readiness Project and the Emergency Medical Services for Children Project. So in this case, we're just going to look at the PPRP. What I can do is if I want to reprint a gap report for this agency, I can just come in here, click on that agency, and then I can click on Pre-Hospital Pediatric Readiness Project, and you can see it will allow me a reprint last gap report. And this will reprint the most recent gap report that that agency received. So during like an open survey period for like the NPRP, where maybe somebody has taken it 3 times, it will print out whatever the most recent gap report was that they completed. And it is functional for PPRP. So once we start the PPRP in May, you know, if there's an agency that you know took it and they lost their gap report and they call you, you can just come in here, click this reprint report, and it will reprint that gap report for you. This function is only available to the manager level. So I don't have time to really go into it, but we have both a manager and a user level. So for example, if you have an intern that's helping you to clean up CLMS, you can request that they have user level, which means they can add and edit agencies and delete agencies and stuff, but they cannot reprint a gap report. That is something that only you can do as a manager with manager level access. So there is a safeguard in there that not just anybody with access to CLMS can reprint that gap report, just those that have the manager access. Just as a note for NPRP right now, that is the reprint gap report is not up and running yet. They are working on that. We will let you know when you can reprint an NPRP gap report through here as well. As it currently is, if you need an NPRP gap report, just send your TA an email and we'll work with the NPRP team and they can generate and get a gap report sent for that. Okay, ton of information. Keep in mind that everything in this demonstration is also available in step-by-step instructions in the user guide, and your TA is always available to help out. But it is 12:30, and I know Jane had something, so if you have a minute to spare, I know she would appreciate that. But go ahead, Jane.
That's all right. Thank you so much, Braden. I know that was a great tutorial, and there's some additional questions. I think Andre has helped to address it in the chat there. We did want to do a quick poll, as there are quite a few topics that we have available to be able to do for Tech Talks. And I am not seeing my poll option available here, so I'm just gonna grab it really quick here. I wanted to launch this quick poll for which topic you would like to learn about most at Tech Talks. We have a lot of our months filled out for the year already, but there was 1 month that we had available. So if you can just quickly respond to this poll, we greatly appreciate it. We have principles for building an online survey, strategies for increasing response rates, Excel basics using your pre-hospital agency list. If you want to quickly just add your favorite topic there that we can use for later on in the year, we'd greatly appreciate it. And if you have any ideas about EMSE projects, analyzing data, PowerPoints or presentations, or marketing communications, please feel free to shoot me an email. We always love to hear feedback from our managers about what they want to learn most about. Thank you so much for participating, and we will see you next month. Take care, everyone.